And welcome to Fundamentals of Computing. As I was cleaning up my desktop here, getting ready for this class, I saw this screen and I thought, this is kind of cool stuff. So we'll have a little, I'm going to call it a minute of nerd, little geek minute. This is connecting to what we call virtual machines, where we actually have one server, and Mr. Elliott in the back room here, you hear that humming noise. He is running one computer that is actually running multiple copies of Windows on it. In this particular one, I'm running multiple systems in one, what we call a server. So when people talk about servers and rooms filled with servers that Google probably has, we call those server farms, where you can install, they create these things called virtual machines. They install Windows or Linux or Unix, different versions of operating systems, and the machine runs as though it were its own little computer inside this little world of computers, and actually physically it's all residing in one computer with one main CPU unit and lots of disk space and gobs of memory. The great things about this is if I have a machine running, while it's running I can do a thing called a snapshot and completely make a duplicate of what that machine is doing. So in case something goes wrong, I can say, well, let's go to yesterday's snapshot, and I can start that machine up. So this is the way the industry is going. It's called virtualization. All your servers out there on the web are likely to be a virtualized system. So there's your Geek Minute for today. Now back to normal life, a little less geeky, world of Microsoft Word. Want to review how we deal with tabs and graphics and dates, and then finish up this little document with something called building blocks, and we're going to be putting in tables. So let's bring up our book page here. We've got to the point where we have our header and our graphics, and remember that little border underneath the paragraph. And let's find my copy of Word. Where's my document? Hiding here somewhere. Go to File, Recent. Well, it's not showing recent. That's strange. Go hunt down my Word. Somebody's calling me. Silence that alarm. And turn off my sound. Here we go, WD3. So here's as far as I got. Remember how we did these graphics? We inserted clip art. We set a transparent color on the Design tab. And remember, the transparent color is often useful, especially when you have a big white box around your image. But a little warning for you, only certain types of images work well with making something transparent in it. And there in PowerPoint, we're actually going to be recoloring certain parts of it. Remember how we could just select that little bookmark? There are other pictures we can actually break apart and recolor specific parts of it, but it's special pictures. And remember then, we copied it, duplicated it, and flipped it left and right. One thing about this date, remember we inserted the date, and if I go back, see if I click on that, will take me to the properties of that. I guess not. But if I do an insert, let me bring up the ribbon permanently. When I insert a date and time, where is that? Here it is. In the insert of date and time, you have this little box here, update automatically. You will not see it update until you save the document or you close it and reopen it. It will show the date that it was opened instead of the date you wrote it. So if you wanted to remember the date you wrote it, you do not check that update automatically box. Sometimes though, you just want it to show the date it was printed, or when they open it, have it show that day's date. Most often, we'll leave that unchecked, but remember that check is another option there for you. Okay, let's get our title page in there, and then we're going to get on to a building block. So our title that we're going to be entering here, our header block here, our heading comes in here. The inside address, there's the inside address we'll be entering. Let me enlarge that a little for you. There's your inside address right there at the top, and I will shrink mine down a little bit and put that in there. Oops, it accidentally went to the previous page. We're going to make this Washington Volunteer Foundation become a building block. What's that? Let's see, this text up here. Alright, see if I can make that a little bigger. That a little better? Oops. It wants to keep going. If I click on the wrong page, it wants to go to the next page instead of going down. And I can enlarge my text here too. And I got a little spelling error there. And 2 lines between the address and the salutation, Dear Ms. Song. So we have that information in there, and then we continue on and start a sentence that is going to refer to the foundation they're in. But before we do that, we're going to make a building block out of that name, Washington Volunteer Foundation. And so to do that, we select it, and then we go to the building block creator. So I'm going to select through Washington Volunteer Foundation, and then in the insert, where's my building blocks? Is that it? No, that's Dropcat. Is that building blocks? Quick Parts. We're going to building block. Oh, am I in the right place? I'm going to make sure I'm in the right place here. Create new building block. Oh, save selection to Quick Part Gallery. That's the part I want to do. So I have that selected, and my screen is so jumbled here. Let's find out, how do we get to the save selection to Quick Part Gallery? And the Explore Quick Parts Gallery dialog up there towards the top. Now my menu looks differently because I've shrunk my window a little bit. So I have that selected, and then the insert page, Quick Parts Gallery, there it is. Save selection to Quick Part Gallery. And what this means is whenever I choose this building block, it's going to insert that text. And rather than the name Washington, they want me to give it the name WVF. So for the name, I'm going to put WVF right there. And sadly, it doesn't show you what's in it. It just says, here's the name I'm going to give it. And let's see if we need to do anything else. Just be giving it a name, WVF. And then we just hit OK. And then they'll show us how it's used. So we create the building block, then they show us later, here's how it's used later on. So we have, remember how we did? We selected text, and we did quick parts, gallery, save, selection as a new quick part. And I click OK. Now there's no other indication that that's a quick part until I start typing and decide where to use it. So now we'll go on to the next page where they start a sentence. Oh, and they're gonna, they want to do some more with the quick parts. They're gonna edit properties on that. Alright, I'll go back to that. We're gonna edit the properties of the quick part we just built. Just giving you an idea of how you can modify quick parts. So let's see if I can find that in my quick parts here. There's the quick part, and now I can go to my building blocks organizer, and I can find the WVF. Where did it go?
You can, on the window, that drop down, you can just right click the box and then click
Let's
edit
try that.
properties. Just right click like that WDF box.
Oh, right here.
No, like actually go to quick parts, right click it.
Oh, just right click there. There we go. Yeah, that's not at all obvious. There we go. And then we can add the description. We could have done this at the point we created it, right? And we want to add the description. Potential volunteer opportunity. You see how often I use quick parts. Okay, so we've modified it, and then we get ready to use it. And we start typing a sentence. Thank you for meeting with me this morning. And then when we get to WVF, we hit F3 to replace the WVF with that part. Not sure how useful this is. I'm not. Let's see, got extra line there. So once we get to WVF, do we have to select it, or does it automatically become one? See, I've hit F3. It looks like I don't have to select it. I just have to be in that word. Let's see what happens. F3. Look at that. It replaces it with the building block. I suppose this may be useful if I'm using some very long word that I'm using throughout my paper that I want to be able to refer to or use by initials. Maybe when I type EBC, I want to spell out Emmaus Bible College, and I'm using that all over the place. I can see that might be useful, but it takes a while to get used to even just making them. But now you know they are hiding there somewhere if you have a word you're constantly typing out long form. And then we put in the period and continue the rest of our document. So there's the building blocks. And they just have a little discussion here about how they're not quite the same as autocorrect. Remember, autocorrect, you can replace the part. You have to tell it to insert a building block, and then F3 as you build it. Now we want a space after a particular word so they do not split on a at the end of a line. Let's see if we can do that here. And start typing. I truly enjoyed our conversation. Control Shift Spacebar is the key, and they've worked it out. If you have just the right font size, you should be towards the end of the line, and they don't want it to break on that line. So Control Shift Spacebar. Try to fix a spelling error I had after the word branch. Now try that. Control Shift Spacebar. Branch office, center team, branch center team, and see how that works. Now that I have, it shows up as a little circle there because you're showing formatting characters, center team. And see how branch, if I hadn't put that there, branch would have broken from center at the end of that paragraph. Yes?
What's your font size? Because mine is like branching, moving around.
Mine is 11.
And what do you have here, Mom?
Yep, I didn't change any of the defaults.
Oh, mine isn't even step up.
And I'm not going to be fussy if your text doesn't exactly wrap exactly as in the book.
So how do you get that little like circle?
Control Shift Spacebar makes it what they call a non-breaking space. And you can do the same thing with hyphens. You can make it a non-breaking hyphenation. Now we're going to enter a text, and then we're going to bring in a table because you want to be sure you understand how to use tables. It can be very useful in organizing information on a page. So branch center team period, and then the table below outlines my volunteer service background. Gorned ground. And we hit the enter key twice because we want a table going next. Now for the table. They spent some time describing tables. We're going to insert a table using either the grid or numbers. And they show you various arrangements. They're doing a 3-column table. So I'm going to go to Insert. And where's tables? Here you go, tables. Pay attention here. If I specify exactly the rows and columns, rather than having to count little boxes, especially as the numbers go higher, you can just come down here to Insert Table with the ellipsis, and you can specify exactly your columns and rows. So if you have a table with many rows, you want to get it exactly right, like 11 or 23, you can just type it there. But a smaller table, they have the convenient little graphical. At this point, they're only going to put in a 3-column table. Even though they know they're going to do more, they're going to go through the part about how easy it is to add another row when you get to the end of a row on a table. So we're putting in a 3-column table just by grabbing through 3 little boxes. And as you select a column, it shows you that columns have each their own little section of ruler to control their indentation and their location. I can adjust those there, or I can grab the edge of a cell and drag it back and forth. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to put in some content into there with titles across the top, and then adding another row. So let's get our titles across the top here. I'm going to have organization, primary responsibility, and term of service. Hitting a tab or right arrow takes you to the next cell in the table. And another tab takes me to the last row. And I'll zoom out just a little bit here. Getting my spelling corrected. And now when I'm at the last row, tabbing automatically starts a new row. So the tab key is very handy. I only have to worry about the number of columns. As I type, it's very easy to add more rows. I think I could also right-click, insert row above or below, but you don't have to do that. If you know it's going below, just hit tab. But you can always right-click on a table and have many more options about deleting, merging, splitting cells, changing my text direction within a cell. And so then they start entering the data, and let's enlarge that. That's the information we're going to be putting in the whole table. See if I can enlarge that more for you here. Are you able to read that? Tried to grab a slider and I put myself on the wrong page. I gotta go find my page. I messed up. Here we go. Here, I was trying to enlarge it for you. Went to the different page. So get that back. Here we go. And every time you get to the end of the row, just tab to start a new row. And the last job was a basketball coach. Quite a variety of experience for this person. So there's all my tables. Let me go back and fix a few spelling errors. Now, once we have the data in there, they spend a little time showing you then the adjustment of the properties of your table. There's my table with the data in it. And now I can change my style of the table by going to my design layout of the table and choosing any of those styles. They choose a green style. I'm going to give you the flexibility of choosing your own colorful style for your table. Remember how that's done. You have to have your table selected before the design tab shows up. So let me enlarge the ribbons. Without the table selected, if I'm typed somewhere else, there is no design tab. Clicking anywhere in the table, now the design tab shows up, and I can choose a style of table. Since I don't have a left column indicating the title down the left side, I'm not going to use a style that has the leftmost column darkened. So one of these would make the most sense. I'm going to let you choose your color. It automatically sets the alternating colors. And in the book, they chose that style. Gives a nice look to your table. Looks more professional, and that's the idea here, is show people you not only have decent creativity skills to show something nice in your document, but you also have some office skills. You can demonstrate that right there in your resume. So we apply that. Then we can go on, we can resize things in the table if a column's too small or too big, just by selecting in a column and auto fit. So we're going to auto fit, we're auto fitting the whole thing. Let's see what happens here. We're going to select in the table. How do we get to auto fit? We're in the layout part. So I'm in my table, layout, auto fit, and let's see what happens. It adjusts the size of the table to the text within it. I could specify specific height of tables as well.
Now, there's three options for the autofit. Which ones do you do? Fixed column width, autofit window, or autofit contents?
Well, they did auto fit contents. In the third column, they're adjusting the alignment. So we simply select that column and then align it on the right, are they? So to select that column in this, select that text in this column, just drag through the columns, and then we're just going to align it to the, there we go, aligning right. No, they're aligning center, align top center. So here's my align top center choices. Middle, you won't see much change in the center, middle, or bottom unless you had a larger amount of text in there. It's crazy, you can even adjust your text direction to be crazy. We're not going to mess with that. Centering the actual table is just selecting the entire table, and are they using the touch screen, the control key? They're doing the center button in the mini toolbar, or the control, remember what was it, control L? To select the entire table, there's a special little button in the upper left that selects the entire table. I could just as well drag through the entire table, but that's a shortcut to selecting the entire table. Then I can go to the Home tab and center it here. Control E. Oh, don't want that. Let's try that again. Maybe I didn't have the whole table selected. Now let's try. There we go. So that upper left corner, that's special if you want to adjust the entire table. And when you get the double arrow, that selects it. So now I've got a table within mine, and they want to go back and modify the table, just showing you can. They add another line just to be a blank line between, wait, looks like they add a blank line, a cell at the top. So put the cursor within that first cell, and you can right click, insert row above, or in the layout there are these little icons up here. I can insert left, insert right, insert above. I prefer the right click, insert above, right, since it's there, than coming to that layout button. And they're merging it so they can put a title across the top. So I'm going to do the right click because that's what I do more often. Insert row above. Now I drag through, looks like it's already selected, but if it weren't selected I would drag through that row above, that first row, and then I can right click and merge the cells. So now when I type in a title, which will be volunteer service background, I have a nice title at the top of my table, and I can right click center or center using the layout, and I can apply a style to that row. How did they get, maybe the way they did it, they get a different background. I got a dark green background on mine, and they have dark text. So to change that text, I could go to, let's see, I'll do the easy way. I'll go to my Home tab and adjust my text, my font to be dark green, and the background, the fill of those cells to be, let's see, I need to fill those cells. Where's the fill? I guess the right click. I can fill this row. Oh man, I messed up. How do I get that row filled? Is it design? I want to fill the row. There we go. Shading of that row, and there we go.
How did you merge it again?
Oh, just you have to select through the row, the cells. Select through the cells, and then you can right-click, merge cells, or if you go to the layout, there's also a merge cells up there.
Like every time I select it, it gets rid of the little design and layout.
And you're just selecting the row, right? Not the whole table.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, then right click, merge cells. Oh, it looks like it's not selected right now. Go click in the table. Okay, now drag through those three rows. Just the row at the top, just drag through. Yeah. That's selecting. Go ahead, click off of it. And click off it. Now click in the upper left cell. And now click and drag to the right. All the way over to the third cell. There we go. Now it shows. Oh, yeah. There you go. And now, little tricky there. Now I think that's it for the table. Let's see what they want us to do. Anything else? So they have and remember how we did that? We just merged the cells and then put a little title in there, made the table look a little nicer. They mention how you can split tables. I can always change the text just by clicking in the row. We also want to make that top row nice and bold by just selecting through it and Control B. Oh, I thought Control B would do it. There, Control B did do it. And now we're adding more text. As you requested, my availability, below is my availability. And so as you requested, below is my availability. And now we're putting in the availabilities, just like so. And we're going to make it a bulleted list. I can turn on I can start a bulleted list or type the text now and come back and make it a bulleted list. But I'm going to start a bulleted list so I know what it's going to look like. And fix a few spelling errors. Add a semicolon instead of colon there. Simple bulleted lists. And once I get to the end, I hit a second enter, and that tells Word, oh, I'm done with the bulleted list when you enter a blank line. And the little dots are showing you where I hit spaces. Let me turn off the dots because they kind of make it hard to read sometimes. Turn off the formatting. This person likes the periods after the A.M. I would have just typed AM without any periods. I suppose this person thinks it's a more professional looking. And we're about done with this. Once I have that, we have a little extra if you want to contact me, and then the salutation. The thank you for listening to me. Thank you for considering me. Oh, here's where I can do the WVF and do the building blocks instead. WVF, remember F3, what's in that building block?
Oh, I did.
I'm going to turn my formatting marks back on just so I can tell I'm doing it the way they want. Have that centering tab. So turn it back, formatting, hit enter. And hit another tab. There's my centering tab. Sincerely. 3 blank lines, and then Alexander Samaras. Looks like that tab is a centering tab rather than a right align tab. Looks like that tab, I can't tell where their tab is in the ruler. I'm going to put that, looks like it's a little bit off center. They don't show it. I'm going to put a left tab, left tab at 4 inches. And now I'm going to add a second tab to take me to the right place. Exactly 4-inch left align. And I think that document is, well, let's make sure. I don't want to lie to you. We save it. And we're going to skip the printing part. Just, the only thing I'll mention is in the printing of envelopes, there is a way to do this called mail merge. Can be very confusing, but it can save you a lot of time if you're doing regular mailing of form letters. What they do is select the title, and then from that information they can create a mailings, and it will create a separate document that would print out your envelopes for you. But I'm not going to make you do the envelopes part. Let's see if we can add, at least just add the page of it and just get a taste of how it would work. So I go up and select the to portion of my header. Select that text, and then under mailings I'm going to start, or do I hit envelopes here? We do mailings, yes, and then we start an envelopes to create an envelopes page. So mailings, envelope, and it will pop up the little dialog to begin a page that would be my envelope. Not going to add electronic postage. That's an interesting option. I don't remember seeing that before. And let's see what we do. It shows you our information. Oh, we're going to put in our return address. So let's find that return address that they have us enter. Oh, they make it hard to read on that. See if I can read his return address. I'll type it in for you. It's pretty small. We'll just make up you could use the Emmaus address if you like. Return address that we're going to add the envelope to this document. We could just print it from here and never add it. Rather than printing it, let's do add to document. If you'd like, you can put your own return address. I'll put his in. Rather than print the envelopes, I'm just going to do add to document. And I'll make that return address. Yeah, I'll make that my default return address just for fun. And now if we zoom out from our document, you will see here we've created a new page that is separate from the rest of our document. It actually creates an envelope page that I could use to do printing of an envelope. Now it takes a special printer to be able to print envelopes because it's a smaller page and it has to have the manual feed. Doesn't come out exactly the same way each time, so you'd have to test it with your printer, but a nice way to make a nice professional envelope. I would think though, if you're writing a letter of request for a job, if I were the person receiving the letter, I think I would pay more attention to the handwritten address rather than the form letter. Too many people these days are impersonal, send an email. The handwritten shows you've spent more time on it, has a little personal touch. I would recommend, well, unless you have horrible handwriting, or find someone that has better handwriting to do it for you. If it just looks like a form letter, well, depending on the job too. If it's a legal department, they might want to see typed. But if it's a regular employer, I would think they'd pay more attention to neatly handwritten. Okay, that one's done. You can save that and upload that for Friday. Here's the plan. I'm not going to be here, but I will make the quiz available. You can come in, take the quiz, and if you want to hang around and work on that extra project, that little on your own lab, you're welcome to work on that. Otherwise, the quiz will be available, and that'll be it for Friday. So, and the quiz will be questions from the e-quizzes. And you will be able to have Word. I'm going to let you have Word open, but not the book. You can not open book, but open Word. All right. Have a great day. I hear chapel is in the Marble Chapel today. And let's see if I've got messages.
You have to upload this? Can we upload this?
Yeah, you can upload it.
Okay.
And send me emails if you have any questions about that chapter 3 on your own lab. I think should be pretty straightforward. Just reviewing the things you've done, but a little more on your own. Oh, and it's time. I forgot to stop the recording.